This is Glenn West with Alliance Solutions. Today we're going to do a webinar on cloud accounting for construction utilizing Acumatica's Construction Edition. So as we move here, we're going to talk a little bit about Alliance, a little bit about Acumatica, and then I'm going to jump right into the product so we can show you some of the highlights of what that offers. So I'm with Alliance Solutions. We're America's largest construction technology partner. We focus on solutions associated with construction, and we try to provide kind of an end-to-end ability estimating through construction accounting, property management, project management, compliance. So our vision here is to be the premier provider of construction real estate. That's really all we do. It's where we focus and everything that we've got going on. We're probably close to 80 employees, over 4,000 customers nationwide. We have offices in 3 states and resources in probably 10 or 11 right now. Here's the places where we focus. Usually it'll be along the southern part of the country, but we do have clients outside. We've got them in Canada and the Caribbean, and then probably in 24 states as we move through here. These are our proven solutions in the construction side. Today we're going to look at Acumatica and their construction version, but we do have estimating solutions, and we do have different tools available. So if there's things that you need or want, you can always come to us. If we don't have them, we might know where those are. So we'll keep going here, and kind of our proven implementation process is what makes us very successful, kind of working through the analysis, the plan, customization, data migration, testing, and user training, and then we have a go live process. And so that's why people are really partnering with us, because of our expertise. The consultants we have, we typically are local. We use proven solutions, and then our implementation process is really something that we go through. We use a 6-step process with any new prospect so we can actually move you from talking about your requirements to live. And so this is how we do that. We're going to talk about Acumatica today. Acumatica is based in Seattle. It's a leading technology platform that has been in the cloud since day one. There's over 7,000 clients. The platform itself is what's incredible about this. Browser-based, mobile, complete API that's out there. They have been an ERP system since early on. In 2017, they announced and released their field service system. In mid-2018, they released their construction edition. In 2019, they released their project management solution. And then in 2020, they actually released the construction payroll system. So it's a very broad application, which was what we're going to look at today. There's a global reach. Seattle's their headquarters. Portland is their construction office. And as you can see, they've got engineering in Montreal, Moscow, Mexico City. They've got support. And so what that offers us in a lot of cases are things that companies may need: multi-currency, multi-language, the ability to handle different taxing that happens in different places. So it's a very sophisticated tool as we go through here. One of the nice things about the platform is that there are companies in the ERP world that decided to use Acumatica as their next generation platform. And so they white label the solution, which is a technology term where a company will license software and use it and build on it. So if you were to look at MYOB in Australia or Cegid in France, it is actually their new versions are Acumatica. So above and beyond the Acumatica customers, we have all these companies around the world that are building on top of the platform. A lot of the reasons we see that is really the platform, the usability, the things they built into it already, machine learning, AI that's out there. They're best in class in industry functionality. So when we get into construction, absolutely strong construction system, but also handles sales orders for construction companies that maybe are doing sales, inventory, warehouse management, payroll, distribution. It has manufacturing capability and also field service, so a complete solution. It's got a unique ability on the way they license the software. It is not done by users. It's done by usage. And so we really don't count users. So the idea is that when you log in, anybody in the company can log in. That's not a concern. We're really looking at how large you are, and that's how they vary the price is going to be about the transaction volume. You get to pick which cloud you want to work in. The default is AWS, Amazon Web Services, but because of their connection to Microsoft, we do have clients that are using Microsoft Azure. So it's you pick the solution you want. This is the platform. This is what really is what's important. We feel like that the technology is at the bottom is the current as anything gets, and so that's going to be the building block, the tools they use. They released the platform before they started writing applications, and so it provides a mobile framework. It uses single sign-on. It's multi-tenant. It has a workflow engine where we can modify states. There's a full API. It works on across multiple browsers, so you can use it on Mac, you can use it on PCs, and then there's an analytics component too, so for business intelligence. That's really what is important, is it was never an old system or never a legacy system. This has always been a cloud-based system. When we move above the platform is when we get into the ERP portion of it. This is where we have a full financial management, a full accounting system. There's a distribution management addition as well, sales orders, warehouse management, pick, pack, and ship, all that's in there. There's a full CRM system as well as an interface to Salesforce. We have a full field service system with a mobile app as well. So we look at all of the field service that a contractor may do. If you were ordering online, there's a e-commerce solution. So if you had a website where you were actually selling and you wanted to connect the website to any of the the big e-commerce websites, that's available. There's manufacturing. So if you had a manufacturing solution, you could do that as well. And then there's also a construction edition, really is what we're going to look at today, is construction. When we break construction down, really a couple areas here. We look at the basic construction system, which handles the things that a contractor would need inside a construction accounting system: budget control, quoting, CRM, subcontract control, change order management, billing, AIA, pro formas, purchase management if we need it, forecasting, projections, dashboards, warnings, notifications, approval. So everything you'd basically see in a construction accounting solution. And then if you want to add on top of that, there's a project management module. So we can get into RFIs and daily fields and looking at bringing in estimates from other systems. So adding the construction version to project management is really where we pull in the full construction side. Again, over 7,000 clients worldwide, 180 million transactions per month, both SOC 1 and SOC 2 compliant. Different customers, so if we have that many customers, you see there's across different industries. Really big name companies have made a move over to the Acumatica platform. The beauty of the platform being open is that it has a rapidly growing group of development partners. And so when we start looking, the things like DocuSign and Adobe eSign and Avalara for taxes and Microsoft Flow and Salesforce and Procore and Arcoro for HR, as well as there are products that are built within Acumatica. So there's a full rental equipment module that's built inside Acumatica by a partner. There's a property management system, cash flow system that's built in here, interfaces to HubSpot. These are just some of the 150 that are out there. There's a full analytics capability. They have their own, but they're also an ability for you to use outside ones like Tableau, Antera, BI 360. So you really can kind of build on top of this solution as we go. If you look at openuni.acumatica.com is the where you can start taking training classes, and there you also can see the help online. So they really are pushing the software out so individuals can see it, learn it, get to it, and it's not behind firewalls. It's something that we want all the employees to work and use. And then I'm just going to jump in now and show you the software. So you should see the system. I've got Acumatica here. If I click on the Acumatica, it'll refresh I'm pulling in now a project manager dashboard. And so as I'm looking at this, my user ID is going to tell me where I am. And so on the left, I've got the different modules that I might have access to. On the right is going to be a dashboard, which I can drill down to any of the transactions. In the upper right-hand corner are basic things like multi-entity, different locations and different companies that I may have, as well as if I'm working in different tenants, I can move between tenants utilizing a single sign-on as we go. So as you move down from the left, this is where we're really going to focus today. We're going to look at this maybe from the beginning. We'll focus on a CRM orientation, move through projects, maybe into field service. But to give you a big feel for what's out here, I've put this menuing system in an order that makes sense for me. Every end user can actually come in here and edit their menus. And so I can come in and say, I don't want to see production orders, or I don't want to see bill of materials, or I do want to see construction, but maybe I don't want to see certain reports, or maybe I don't want to see this because it's just not something important to me. Maybe I want to move this up, move that down, put this on the back. Absolutely, by end user or by role in the company, we can define what these menus look like, so that when I'm done, I have the menu or in the order that I want, and then I also have when I click on one of the menus, we'll see that I can have different types of menus. Right now I'm showing you a short menu for time and expense, but I can also include everything. And so you have an ability to define the way your favorites work or what you're exposed to, and hide everything that you don't need. So in this case, I can come in here and say, I want to see everything under time and expense, or I want to see only certain things. And there may be things like approvals that I want to show up on my favorites. And so you'll see my favorite menu here. Anytime you see the gold star, I can look over here and say, oh, there's my favorites. I have approvals, I've got some purchasing, I've got some construction, I've got some equipment. Those are showing up because I've come in here and I've clicked on them and said, this is the way I want to go. We've got dashboards. Comes with dozens of dashboards. You can build your own dashboards. We'll look at a couple as we go. This is the kind of starting point. An end user may show up on one or multiple dashboards. We have a full time tracking system, mobile. We can handle individual time. We can actually handle weekly crew time. The time systems have interfaces to different payroll services like Criterion, HCM. We interface to ADP, Paychex. We also can take this and move it right into our own payroll solution. We have expense claims. So if you're providing employees credit cards and we want them to actually submit receipts, and receipts coordinate to claims, and then claims go through a reconciliation process after we download the credit card transactions, the full capability of that as we go. Full receivable system, multiple types of invoices, standard simple invoices, invoicing from sales orders, invoicing from service, invoicing for construction, progress bills, T&M, AIA. So you really kind of move through there, and you can see there's a lot of capabilities in here when we start looking at reporting and profitability analysis. Profiles are things that we're setting up in here for things like salespeople maybe, or items, non-stock items that we're working on. Payables, the other side of this, entering invoices, printing checks, doing quick checks, right? Whatever we're happening to. There's actually an ability built into accounts payable for scanning. And so we can actually scan invoices. It is linked to the Microsoft AI engine. And so as you have invoices that are coming in, you can kind of drag them in, drop them in, the scan will take place. It'll learn as it goes, and so the recognition becomes much faster. Same thing holds true when we look at receipts on the mobile device. If you scan a receipt, the system will actually go through and it will move it into the AI engine, and it will start to learn from the receipts. It'll start to fill out what's happening on a receipt based on AI as we go along. There's a full purchasing module. We can do material requests through material requisitions to purchase orders and receipts. We can handle landed costs. We actually have automation capabilities for receive and put away. That's kind of our pick, pack, and ship component of this. We have a full inventory system, and inventories stock items that are out there. We have warehouses, we have kits, we have buildings. There's ways to automate that. So there's a scanning capability built into the software. We also work with multiple warehouse management systems that augment the capabilities that are just resident in the core Acumatica solution. We have our full construction system, which we'll look at today. A bunch of reports in here, WIP reports and AR reports and substantiated billing reports. And then when we look, this is where we can get into setting up projects and sub-projects, and then the transactions we can do are, entering cost transactions. We can handle potential change orders to change orders. We can do pro forma billings, which are like a progress bill. We can handle project quotes, subcontracts that are going on in here. Project management we spoke about in the PowerPoint, but it's the document control piece of our construction. We also have a compliance engine. That compliance is where we're managing releases, waivers, notices, certificates, insurance, and we can start to look at that across vendors, customers, projects through the system. Full Procore integration. Have a full service system where we can look at service orders and associated appointments. We have dispatch boards. We have processing for billing. Appointment management is all in here. One of the unique things that most construction systems don't have are an ability to do truly sales orders, point of sale. So if you have a counter in the back and you're selling material parts to other contractors or to the public, we can handle all that, including the warehouse management where we can do pick, pack, and ship. And so we can go through a sales order to pick, pack, and ship, and then we can ship it. And then there's interfaces available to UPS, USPS, and FedEx. So we have this automating capability that is really driven around the broad, diverse capabilities here. We're going to look at our CRM capability. This is where we get to opportunities. And then I'm just going to jump on the more items here. So this is where I can get into the back and look at things like general ledger. So we've got an ability to budget the general ledger. We got multiple entities. We have intercompany accounting that is out there. We have an ability to do banking. We can link to credit cards. We can import bank and credit card transactions. We can reconcile from here as we go. We can get into fixed assets. And so if you have assets, when we're doing depreciation, the system will allow us to capture the asset from a purchase and then keep track of that asset as we use it here. We have multi-currency. We can handle taxes across multiple states and countries. We have contract management. We see that in contractors that are doing monitoring. Maybe we want to contract them for monitoring. And because that contract has spread the revenue out, we have a deferred revenue capability. And then if we're monitoring, we actually have a support engine where we can start keeping track of cases, calls that we're getting from our clients. We have a full payroll system, union, non-union, prevailing wage, certified, workman's comp, all the things you'd want from a construction side. We have a marketing system, which we'll start with. This is where we can capture leads, and those leads can become opportunities, and opportunities can become quotes, and quotes can become kind of the next step. Quotes can become sales orders. Sales orders can become service orders, shipments. Quotes can also become projects. So we'll look at that as we go. And then when we look at service, we also have an ability to do equipment maintenance. So you have clients that are out there. We have service contracts, and we can set up service schedules that'll handle the billing as well as the work that we need. And then if you have service routes, we have a routing capability. So I can go out and actually schedule my technicians that are going to do work on routes. And we see that sometimes if we have these things that are going on where we're required to go in once every other week, and we go in every Tuesday at 2 o'clock, we want an ability to actually route and keep track of what's happening there. We want those routes on maps as we go along. So that's kind of the end-to-end component of it. In the solution I have, we do have a manufacturing solution as well. We can get bill of materials and MRPs. We're just going to focus today on kind of an end-to-end on the construction side. So I'm going to jump over into marketing real quick. I'm just going to look. This lead is bringing a record into the database. I've got somebody or something that we're considering from a work perspective. And so when I look at this, I can now start to capture things like, what company they're working on, who is it we're dealing with, their contact information. I can start to capture activities. And so I can come in during this lead and see, do we have notes? Do we have chats, appointments? What were we doing with them? We can determine where do they come from? What was the class lead? Where did we get them? Are there any attributes? These are user-defined fields. Are there relations? Are they associated with another company? So maybe this is, business development for a larger company, and I want to capture this lead with this business development person, but still link it back to the bigger company. We can look at campaigns we've sent to this lead. We can look at marketing lists we're using for this lead. I can also look at different opportunities that we may have. And so once the lead's in here, and I can then just click on this to convert this lead to an opportunity. And so the system will take this now and it'll say, all right, that lead, which maybe we captured off our website, or maybe we captured from some lead capability, or maybe a business development rep just entered the lead, or the business development rep is at a trade show and they are using our card scanner capability. So maybe they came along and did that. So now I'm just going to basically come in and I'm going to set this lead up as an opportunity. And so you can see I've got different capabilities. I've got all my opportunities. I can look at just maybe my opportunities, not everybody in the companies. We can also build in here different ways to look to see exactly what's happening in here. So I'm just going to go back and I'm going to open an opportunity quickly, and we'll say, let's take a look at this opportunity, and it's what was it? What was it for? And so as you log into these opportunities, you'll see that the screens will change a little bit based on your setup. And so I'm looking at the opportunity, the type of opportunity it is. These are things that you get to define. So you could have opportunities around projects or services or products or whatever you want, and that will define that type of opportunity and how that opportunity works forward. So we can see who the account is, what we're working on, where did the lead come from, what the stage in the opportunity is, right? We're talking about, we're developing it, we're in the solution side. We can keep track of all of the activities that we have with this opportunity. We can actually start to quote the opportunity, and so there's 3 or 4 different capabilities here. I have a $3,100 opportunity, and I just went in and I picked 3 or 4 items out of my database that I wanted to quote. I don't have to use details like that. I can just come in here and click manual, and I can put in an amount, and I can show a total. I also have an ability to come in here if I'm quoting multiple companies, the same project, same opportunity. I could say I quote 3 or 4 GCs that are bidding on the same high school. I can keep track of the quotes that I sent there, or I can just build in quotes. And so the idea with this, and I'm just going to find a job. It's got an opportunity here. I've got a quote, and so I can say I've got this $10,000 opportunity, and I want to generate a quote. And I'll come back to the quotes in a minute. The rest of this information is going to be about my opportunity. Who is my contact? If we have shipping information we know about, if we've got attributes that I'm tracking, if there are relations, these are different companies or resources we're concerned with. And in this case, if this opportunity transitions along and we've issued sales orders, we could see that. And if we build against it, we could see that. And so now we've got this basic quote that's out there. So I can come in and open my quote. The quote is now associated with the opportunity. And so I can come through here and start to do things. I can identify what the quote was. It was $10,000. I can see who I'm quoting. I can come through in actions. I can send the quote out through email. I can print the quote. I can go through actions that will show what the next step with the quote is. And then the system will keep track of everything that we've done on this quote. I can always go back to the opportunity, and the opportunity is now going to move. And the beauty of this is if I were to go into something like this, I'm going to go right into project quotes from the construction side. The quotes from the project side are linked over to opportunities. And so if I have a project quote, it's linked to an opportunity. If I have a sales quote, it's linked to an opportunity. I can actually have both if I need to. So I'm not limited to one quote per project. I can actually have multiple quotes. In this case, a simple project quote, I've got in here, I've got a couple line items for things. I've got, a cat that I'm selling, and then I've got delivery setup and training. It's $121,000. The system in here is showing me my cost. It's showing me my price. I can actually come out here and start to build in different areas. And so what happens within this is it's telling me cost and price. It's giving me margins. I can actually work through here where I send the quotes. If we send it, we keep track of that. I can look at billing information, shipping, activities, again from our CRM system. If I were to convert this to a project, the opportunity started, the project quote happened, I converted this to a project, the system would go set the project up, and I'd always have a link to show where did the lead come from, what opportunity did it generate, what quote or quotes were generated associated with that opportunity, and then what project am I linked to. And all the communication for that moves forward. And so we can always see exactly where do things happen and where do we get them. So you can move this data forward, and then when we look, once the construction side comes in, this project can start to work through the typical project side. And I'll show you some of those on the budgeting and billing. But the same thing holds true when we go to the sales order side. Is if I were to go through and say sales orders, well, the sales order, which can come from an opportunity and a sales quote, is where I'm now going to go through the sales order process to invoicing, to shipping, to service if we need to. So those are two separate paths that we can do that really run through the same system as we go. So I'm just going to jump back here. I'm going to go out to a dashboard real quick, and we'll kind of look from a project manager perspective. I can see that I've got these different areas. I've got my change orders out there, right? I've got ball and cord. I've got things I need to approve. I've got information here about project issues and project summaries and costs and commitments and whatever we want to do here. And so most cases, what people do is they have an ability to just drill down. And so I just went from a dashboard, I selected a job, and the system dragged me over to the job and opened up a tab. And now, based on my security, I may come in here, quickly and easily. And I can see everything that I need to do on one screen I can do from this project as we move. So I can see this is a hotel. I can see exactly kind of where we are, contract value, projections, change orders, billing, profit, and then I can kind of work through here. And as I define this project, I can say, oh, there's the project manager, and then there's the currency we're tracking it in, and we're going to track change orders, and we're going to track production, and maybe it's certified, and I know what type of billing I'm going to do, and I'm going to do pro forma billing and maybe T&M. And so what will happen in this area is the state of the project will change based on the status or how we've moved through the system. And we do that using something called states. And so for an ERP system, this is how I'm defining my workflow. This is how this project state moves. And so based on how you define your state or your workflow will determine what your buttons look like. What are the actions that are available are going to be associated with the state. It's the power of ERP systems compared to some of the maybe hard-coded solutions. It's the ability that we get to change the workflow of things like projects or purchase orders or subcontracts or change orders. And so it's a big piece. We ship the system with states already established, but you can come through and move those if you want. This is going to be our schedule of values, our revenue budget. This is where we can come out and put in what our contract value is. We keep track of changes. This is where I can enter my % complete and actually run the project billing. We can keep track of the billing and draft invoices and pending invoices. We can see the totals that are out there. Once I hit run project billing, the system will go generate a pro forma. And once that pro forma has been approved, it'll go and generate an AR invoice. The pro forma is really just looking at the revenue budget and what % or dollar that we have in place. And it's come out now and it's saying, all right, this is my schedule of values. This is what the total completed is. This is the amount I'm billing. I can see stored material. I can come up here now and I can email this pro forma invoice. I can print this pro forma. We have an AIA orientation here. We can see exactly, is it a progress and T&M or T&M? I can see where this is moving down. I can see who approved it. And the system has an approval engine associated with almost every record. So if you have a pro forma that you want a project manager to start and then move through an approval process, absolutely. If you have accounts payable bills, we want to go through approvals. If we want to go AR invoices, purchase orders, requisitions, the system has the capability to do those approvals as we go. When I look here on this cost budget is really, it's more than just a place where I can enter my cost budget. I can manually enter my cost budget. I can import my cost budget from Excel. I can import my cost budget using an import scenario, which is I just have a bulk import I want to do, or I can write a web service and import from other solutions. When I look at these, you actually can filter any of these screens that look like spreadsheets. I can come in and I can move the orientation, change the columns, change the order, hide columns so that I can get what I need. You can build filters. So you might say, hey, I'm only looking for line items that have material on it, or I'm only looking for line items that have purchase orders on them. And when I find a line item that I like, we actually have an ability to drill down on these spreadsheets. And so I found a line item that had commitments, purchase orders, and I can see that I issued a subcontract here, and I want to see what that subcontract is. And so I can come in here at this point, and I can start to look at the subcontract. I can find who the sub is. I can figure out what project they're working on, what cost code we're working on, and then the tabs will show me things like, information on the vendor. I can see exactly, oh, there was a bill that was entered against the subcontract. I could drill down here. If we issued prepayments, if there were change orders associated with it, if there's compliance associated with it, I can see all of that I got to while sitting on this project screen. The balances, P&L, just basic project P&L, same capability. You want to drill down on the grid, you want to change, you want to hide columns, we can do that. If you want to look at the POs and subcontracts, here's all my POs and subcontracts on this project. Drill down, look at them, create new POs, create new subcontracts. There's my invoicing. This is where I can generate in the pro formas and invoices. I can generate change requests. Change requests are a way of putting some values to potential change orders, right? I can see, what project, who the customer is. Did this change request, was it associated with an issue? Did it come from an RFI? What the cost and markup is. I can say, hey, it's $1,000 and I used a markup, so it's going to be $1,100. I can also put an additional markup on the line. I can put markups below the line. And so you really have an ability now to build these potential change orders. We can go through the actions. We can go through an approval process on these potential change orders. These potential change orders will go through and work into change orders. And so at any point in time, I can either enter a change order if I know exactly what it is, or I can utilize the change requests to bring change requests in to change orders. So that when we look at change orders, I can modify my schedule of values. I can change the value of a line. I can add line items that are in there. I can change the value of budget lines or add new line items in there. I can change the value of commitments or add new commitments so that at any point in time I can see this change order, and I can look at profitability on this. I can see exactly what's going on. And then I have actions. So when I remove, hold, and approve this, the system will actually generate and update the project, the revenue, the cost, and the commitments that are associated, all from one screen. We can kind of get into the whole CRM side. This is where I can start keeping track of transactions and discussions. Again, it's the beauty of having an embedded CRM system available. We can start to really keep track of those transactions. I can look at pieces of equipment we're using. I can actually come out here maybe and look at approvals, like who approved this project to get started. What compliance items do we have out here? So I can see in multiple areas if I've got project issues that I need to worry about. We can have contacts that are here, but all of this is being driven off of a project, and that project could have started from an opportunity that we generated a quote, and that quote then was something that it came out of a lead, but I wanted it to move into this. So this capability now is really driving all of the potential documents that we have within here, and then it also will move us back to this project manager, this dashboard of what are we looking at. Do I have projects or tasks or activities that are late or over budget? Do I want to look at a project management dashboard? Maybe that's focused. Like this case, this project dashboard can be focused on a project. So I could still come back in here and say, let's go back and look at that hotel, but I want my dashboard to be specific to that project. And so whatever information that we have, I can now link very specifically to a project. I could take this dashboard capability and maybe not focus just on projects, but maybe I want to come in and look at a controller, right? So I'm a controller of a construction company based on my security. I can come in here now, and on the left-hand side of the screen, is going to be AR information, overdue, agings, reconciliation, and on the right-hand side, it's going to be payables. And so I can start to get the cash flow orientation here on my dashboard. APAR, cash position, right? Income and expenses by quarter. I can come in and look from different people that are in here. I can also come in and look from, say, a marketing manager. And so if we go back and we look and say we're going to have some, some sort of marketing capability, we can start looking at leads that are coming in, campaigns, where are they coming from? Do we have people calling in? Are they hitting our website? How are we getting access to our potential jobs? Do we have salespeople? Do we have like business development reps or our estimators potentially? Are those folks? Maybe we want to see what leads we've given them and then what the status of those leads are, and what opportunities have they generated, what's closed, what's in closing. And then if we have multiple business development reps, maybe we want a manager to be able to look at all of the opportunities that are coming in and which ones we're winning and losing, and then how does it look from booking? So how do we have that? So we're capturing all this data. We just feel it's important that the person or people that you have in here we can show them exactly what's going on. So as we look at these different areas we've been talking about, construction, CRM, in this case, service too, what are my techs, what's their load, what appointments do they have, what's happening in here from a service manager or field service, or maybe I want to look at it from a technician. Maybe the technician will show me exactly what's going on with my appointments or details. Maybe I want to come in here and I'm going to look at different things like CRM flow or a field service flow. You can start to build in here HTML orientation, so you can get a really simple flow, so the end user doesn't, when we first learn the system, or maybe we work through a flow, so that when I'm looking at some of these items and I say, oh, I want to go enter a service order, I click on my flow and it'll take me right out to the screen where I can enter a new service order or I can work on a new service order. So that's the beauty of this tool, is to really give us that ability to work through the system. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard here, show you just a couple other things that I think are really interesting about the Acumatica platform. When we set up the platform, there's actually an ability for you to define what we call approval maps. An approval map is saying, if I have an accounts payable bill coming in, how do I want it to go through an approval process? Or if I let my project managers start to generate an invoice, how do I go through an approval process? Or if I have a lead that's coming in, how do I go through an approval or an assignment process? So almost any document, PO, subcontract change order, invoice, anything we're looking at, AP bill, AR bill, expense, you can go through an approval process. And then because we do approvals, we also do notifications. So if I'm going to assign a document for you to approve, I'm going to send you an approval, notification. And that notification can be either an email, it can be a push to your smartphone, it can be a text. And so you might get an email, or you may get a push that says, hey, there's a bill for you to approve. If you're sitting on your computer and you click on that email, it'll actually open up the favorites. If you're on your phone and you take the push, it'll open up the app, so that you can start to see exactly, and you can do that on the mobile app, what you need to do. So it's got this capability now, so that we can start to go through that process. A couple of other things, when we look at this dashboard, and I'll show you a few components here. These are all user defined. You can come into the design side and tell the system that I want to change or add new widgets. Widgets are just a way to display data. They can be charts or tables. They can be embedded pages, internal, external pages. We do KPIs, we can do pivot tables, we can do actually Microsoft Power BI. And so you've got an ability to define what these are. And the beauty of this is, as I start to build and start to use different screens, you can start to say, hey, the screen I'm using is something I want to be on my dashboard. So as an example, is if I go into the accounts payable screen, and it's got a list of all these bills. This is where I can select bills to review. I can also come in here and enter new bills from here. And any screen that you look at like this, it has that capability we discussed. Change the order of columns, hide columns you don't need. We can use color to make highlighting, and so maybe based on dates, I can highlight these line items. You can search on any one of these screens. So if you're looking for something from, Exiles, I just start typing in this search, and the system will pull up all of the line items for this Exiles if we want. And so the search box is not only within a screen, but up here in the global search is really where we can start to dig in, and I'll show you a couple things there in a minute. So I've got the columns the way I like. I can build filters, and these filter settings can actually be set up as tabs. And so I can see all of my records. I can look at any on hold. I can look at some that are pending approval maybe from me. And I can also use pivot tables. And this is a pivot table. A pivot table lets me take a large group of data, just like you would in Excel, and to build that capability. So now I can see, instead of having just a long list of invoices, I can say, show me the invoices by vendor, by project. And so now I can look at this and say, okay, well, what was that? And right from the pivot table, I can drill down to see, oh, this was on that project, and then I can go open the invoice. And so the pivot table was the methodology to take a large grouping of data and then pull it down into a way that I can drill down into it. So I got to, in this case, an invoice that was from this vendor that was out. They were doing framing on these projects, and I can see exactly what it was. As I look at this payable invoice, I can look to see, where did it link to the GL, who approved it, if we have retainage, what other applications. So we cut a check, and there's their compliance. The beauty here, though, is when I'm looking at this pivot table, if you were to say, hey, I like this pivot table, I want to go ahead and I want to set it up on my dashboard. All of the components, the queries, the reporting, the pivot tables, all the things we can reuse. So if I do something in accounts payable that I like and I want to put it on a dashboard, you can just say, take that pivot table and let's go in and use my design and set it up here. So we get to reuse the logic and reuse the way we see data and how we represent data, because everything is related as we go. We have this global search I haven't talked about yet, but this search really is something that power users take advantage of. So I just typed in the word bill, and this is going to show me every menu item in the system that has bill. This will show me every transaction or every profile, like every vendor, every contact that has bill. And this will show me every file that I've scanned and attached that has bill in it somewhere. So you can use this to navigate through the system. So if we want to go see what approvals, I can start to hit approvals, see what menus I'm in, click, go right to approvals. If you wanted to come in here and look at projects, right, you can come in. And if I know where I'm going and what I want, I can come through very quickly and just say, hey, I want to go to that cash flow report, or I want to come through and look at dashboards on projects and see what's happening out here, what's going on. So very easy way to navigate through the system. And so we use this to get us quickly, and as opposed to trying to remember, oh, I know construction is where I want projects. That's where I want to get to projects. Or if I know I'm looking for a WIP report or a subcontract audit, I can just start to type it, and it will take me right in to this as we go. So kind of the final thing we haven't talked about, we talked about CRM. CRM moves its way to construction, project management. CRM moves its way to sales orders and shipping if we want. Sales orders and can also move into service. And then because this is all interrelated, I can also come into service. And then service can be driven or linked to projects. So I'm just going to open up a service order real quick just so we can take a peek at it. And so now when I look at these service orders, can do things like installations or maintenance and repairs. And so if you have a service department, we can use that to start to determine what type of service order is, what's the flow that we're using on that service order, what's the state that we're doing on the service order, where is it in its state right now, what actions are available that we move through. And then the beauty of this is I can have a customer and the location of the customer, but this can also be part of a project. So if we use service to mobilize, set projects up, different people, if we use service resources on projects, we can do that. So there isn't kind of a huge line here. We really can start to link what's happening within, going from CRM to quotes to projects, and then from projects we can actually go into the service process to now say, hey, we're doing warranty. It's handling or happening in service, but I want to link all those costs back to the project as we go. And so you'll see across the whole system, we use the project component of it. And so now when I look at the service order, I can start to see the details of, what services were we providing. I can come out here and look at if there's tax associated with it. Did we have any appointments that we wanted to see out here? I can start to add items and staff. I can create expenses and bills from this. I can start to pull staff from here if we want, and the staff itself, there's logic in here. We can look at the tasks or activities that are associated with the service order, and then what the employees need to actually complete this. And so you can do that as well, get to dispatch boards. But the beauty from this perspective is that the product actually has this unique flow, and we can end in this service management component. And then if we add some of our partners, we actually have an ability to take it to the next step, and we can have a partner that does property management. And so now I could take it from construction into property management if we needed to. System has that capability as we go. And so we'll have hundreds of reports from around the construction side when we come in here, right, with the basic stuff you'd expect to see, subcontract summaries and WIP reports, different ways to look at data, substantiated billings, construction bonding reports, profit and loss by project if we wanted to. And then each of the modules are also going to have that. So when we get into some of the other areas like general ledgers, where we can start to get into things like profit and loss by quarters and rollings. And so as we start to look at the data is when I can say now, I've got this information in here. Let's start running these reports to see what they are. And so in this case, it's just a simple look at a profit and loss across all the companies, going by period. And then as you see all of these hyperlinks, and it works on all the reporting tools, is when I can drill down to see the details. This also recognizes the relationship between companies and locations, multi-entities. And so when I look at this report, I can do it for a consolidated report for all entities, or I can go in specifically and look at certain companies. And so I can now start to drill down to see, okay, what do we need? What's the report look like? And you'll find that across all of the financial statements will allow me to do that. As I'm looking at it, when I run this, I can start to pick and choose where do I want to see data. And then when I run that report, I can see exactly, the report that I've got out here. This is by quarters, and then I can break it down by company. And then at that point, I can print it and send it or export it and move it in. And you'll see the orientation around the reporting works the same way. Is it going to be a financial statement? Is it going to be a report? Is it going to be a query? And so the queries are just a different way of pulling data. And so when I look at a query, think of it as just bringing it to a spreadsheet. I'm pulling a bunch of data around the budget on the project, and now I want to do my searching and sorting, and I can do that all within this query. And then from here, this query, I can take the data into a pivot table. I can pull it into a dashboard widget. I can drill down into the transactions to see what they are. But all that is really being driven from the query tool. And the query tool works across all the modules, and then also provides data as if we need it internally or externally. It gives me an ability to say, hey, I want to send data out in a format that I need. So we can give data in or out using web services, import scenarios. So that's about kind of an end-to-end CRM, construction, sales order, service, project management, just so you can get a basic feel for what Acumatica offers. So at this point, we're into this. We wanted to set aside a couple minutes for questions. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here for a minute and then open it up for questions, and then we'll answer those. And then at the end, we'll also we'll bundle up the presentation, and we'll make it available if you wanted anybody else in the office to see it. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this, and then we'll go ahead and get to questions. So Tim, let's go ahead and stop the recording, and let's get to questions.